So a little bit of a different perspective today. I am in my basement, but not in the usual setup. That's because this would not fit in frame normally. It's a little bit too deep and everything. This is going to be the next entry in DOScember. It's a Packard Bell Axcel 130. I don't really know too much about the specs because I can't seem to find much info online about this specific model. Now, there is an alternate model number on the back that I'll show you in a bit. When I look that one up, a bunch of different options come up. I'm assuming it's just like a generic chassis Packard Bell used for different models, different series, things like that. Here we'll take a look at the front. You got your hard drive light, the turbo LED, power button, 3.5-inch floppy, which I'm assuming is 1.44 megabyte, but I'm not sure, and some sort of a CD-ROM drive. Also, 2 screws, which are actually removed in order to slide the case back. I believe there are supposed to be covers to go over them, and they are obviously not present. We'll take a look at the top real quick, and that's because I have an Intel Inside sticker. You may have noticed there was one missing on the front, so I ordered a couple of them on eBay. And then also the battery that had to be removed, and it definitely leaked on one side. Not sure if it's coming through because of the bag, so let's try this again. Definitely leaked on one side. Not horribly, but the other side, for the most part, is clean. But there was a little bit of corrosion inside, so we'll have to take a look. And we'll take a look at the back. And I do have the wide-angle lens selected for now, just to try to get as much as I can in frame. We've got the power supply. Looks like it's not a standard-sized power supply. I'm not sure what factor this is. It's an AT power supply because it's an AT system. But I'm not sure what you call this form factor. I'll look it up. There's also a built-in modem. There's an option here for a serial port. Actually, I think it's a little there. Got another serial port here. Got the printer port. I'm assuming it's a game port. Yeah, there's a little joystick icon there. VGA out. You've got PS2 mouse and keyboard, as well as a sound card. Not sure what kind, but it has an additional game port on there, as well as your typical in and outs. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to show up cleanly on camera, but let's see. But if you look at the ports here, you do see a little bit of corrosion there. More than likely not from the battery, because the battery is on the opposite end, or it was on the opposite end. This system does smell a little musty, so I'm assuming it was kept in some sort of damp environment, an attic, a basement, a garage, a shed, something like that. Oh, and something else I just noticed. Got some screws broken off inside the parallel port. Not uncommon, to be perfectly honest. I've seen all kinds of broken bits of screws and bolts and things like that stuck. Also, something else I did not notice is rust on the power connector as well. So, almost definitely was in a moist environment. So, let's go ahead and I'll change the setup a little bit so we can get this open and take a look inside. And as I said before, these 2 screws come out, and then the entire outer casing just slides off. And let's take a look at the insides. Now, I'm not going to really get the entire computer in frame, so I'm just going to focus on the rear, which is where all the electronics are. We don't need to see the front anyways, because these are just the drives. So, yeah, it's not a standard size power supply for sure. Like I said, I'll get the format if I haven't already found it. Like it's a crystal-based sound card. Also has some sort of an Aztech chip. I'll have to look that up. Might even be the brand. But it's definitely kind of messy with cables, but this is how it was back in the day. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but you can see here there is a little bit of rust, unfortunately, on the optical drive. And there's definitely that heavy, musty smell. Good thing there's no such thing as smell-o-vision, because I know it would trigger some of your all's allergies. But you've got a hard drive here on the side. You've got the modem, which is a separate add-in card, and various cables. There is an Intel Overdrive CPU in here, though, which is kind of interesting. It's a DX40DP100, so it's probably running at 100 megahertz, but I wonder why they went with an overdrive processor here unless the previous owner upgraded it. There's an option here for onboard 486SX. Yeah, we've got RAM here. Looks like two different modules, so I'm assuming they were upgraded at some point. We've got Toshiba and we've got Texas Instruments. So let's get this sound card out of here and get a closer look at the board. And apologies again for the noise in the background. Borderline winter, and it's cold out. There's a look at the sound card. If I can find more information about it, I will post it, either overlaying text or in the description below. But I'm pretty sure it's an Aztech because it says that right here on the game port. CD audio, looks like there were options for a PC speaker, but they didn't populate it. MIDI and expansion connector, and then also secondary IDE interface on here. Neat. All right, so we can get a little closer look here. Looks like there is no cache populated at all. So I'll have to see if I can locate some. There's also this interesting connector here. It's a zip socket for 256K of cache. There is another set of headers here, but there's definitely corrosion on there. Let's see, and the furnace just shut off. Not sure what kind of a connector that is. It's got JVE something something, JVIA. Not quite sure. There are 3 ISA slots only, so I can add on 2 additional cards if I ever decided to in the future. A bunch of other logic chips, Cirrus logic, so that's going to be the graphics. And let's go ahead and continue taking this thing apart. Looks like this is just a riser that should come up. Capacitors look fine on here, no signs of leaking. Looks like there's the VGA BIOS version 1.3. Let's see if we can get the optical drive out. I'm not sure how it removes though. One side is not secured at all, so it's got to be behind the hard drive. 2 screws in the front. Is there another one on the bottom? No, but there is a bracket that should slide like that. Let's disconnect these first. There. It's a Seagate ST3660A, which I'm going, oh, no, it's a 545 megabyte IDE drive, which is nice because I can always replace it with a CF card that's, 512 megs or something like that. Yep, there's 2 screws here for the optical drive, which has more corrosion on the side. So there's the additional corrosion and rust and all along the bottom there. Depending on how this system was sitting, this could be from the battery, but it's going to be tough to say. There are some specs here as well. Not sure if this drive even works. CRD 254P. Not sure the speed on this. I'm going to assume it's either a 2X or a 4X, probably a 2X. It's from December 95. We'll have to see if it works though. And we still have, well, this does not come out because it is riveted in. There's screws on the bottom, so at least that's what I can feel. Yeah, there's screws on the bottom, so somehow it would have to come out, right? I'll have to look and see if there's any teardowns for this particular chassis. Anyway, let's go ahead and get these IDE cables out of the way, as well as the floppy cable. All right, so let me bring the camera down closer. Hopefully you'll see battery corrosion right there. This Dallas chip got hit with this header over here, JBT. Part of the IDE floppy headers did as well, as you can see there. Let me get this modem out of here and get a closer look. Oh, but real quick, there's more corrosion here. So hopefully it'll be able to be cleaned up and it'll work. It does not seem like anything reached the ISA slot, which is good. I don't see anything towards the back of the board at all, which is good. We'll take the board out, though, and get a closer look. Normally, I would turn these things on and give it a quick test, but because I saw the corrosion in the PS2 ports, I figured there might be some other corrosion inside. When I removed the battery, I did notice some as well, so didn't want to risk it. So it looks like it's just being held in place with these clips on the standoff. Kind of nervous to remove them because I run the risk of them snapping and they'll never be able to be recovered again. I don't think I have these types of standoffs anywhere. And here's the modem. It's an RC224AT Rockwell. Not sure what the baud is on it. I'll look it up. And there, let's get a better look at the corrosion. So it reached the entire IDE connector. It did not seem to go past that, so the power supply connector is fine. The floppy connector's got a little bit on there, but it's not as bad. It's mainly relegated to this area here. Hoping there's no damaged traces, because that would really suck. But we'll have to get the board out and take a closer look. Anyway. It should, in theory... Ooh, yeah, look at all that corrosion there. That's almost definitely from the battery. Yep, leaked right underneath. And in fact, this entire ground trace is gone. So that's not good. This is going to need some work done to it for sure. But the rest of the board seems to be fine underneath. I don't see any other signs of corrosion or anything like that. Other than a little bit of rust around some of the ports, but that's to be expected. A little bit of corrosion on the fan header, which is odd, because none of the battery corrosion seems to go past this ACC micro chip here. Yeah, it seems to stop right here, basically. Closer look at the Intel Overdrive CPU. And let me get a quick capture here so I can see all the jumper settings in case I need to remove them for cleaning purposes. And I'll take another photo as well, just to capture it all. Another ACC microchip. Here's the Phoenix BIOS right there. 93, not removable. So I've basically taken everything out except for the floppy drive because there does not seem to be a way to do it. There's this little stand here that it's sitting on, this little bracket that's riveted into the case. As I said before, this entire drive bracket is also riveted into the case. Oh, there's two screws here, so it might slide out. Just in case, let me try taking these two screws out and see if that makes a difference. Something is holding it in place. There we go. So, okay, so there are screws there, but it slides into these little guides and just latches in place. Looks like they've got a custom bezel on there. Otherwise, it's a Panasonic JU257-134P. As I said, it's probably 1.44 megabyte, but it could be 720K. I doubt it, though. At this point, I think they had reached 1.44. So yeah, there's the rest of the chassis. There's corrosion, some moderate, some severe. At the bottom, there's rust and everything. I realized that I might not be able to finish restoring this system in time for DOScember to end, so I may just have to do the main parts like the board, fire it up, see if it works. The only reason I say that is because cleaning up the rust is going to require me to use white vinegar and some rust remover, and then that will expose bare metal, which I will want to spray paint, but it's cold outside. Spray paint's not going to work when it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside very well, if at all. And in the back, it's all black. So that, again, would require some painting. And I won't be able to do that. But I can, at the very least, get the front panel, front bezel, which is made of plastic, cleaned up and retro-breaded because it is definitely yellowed, as well as the power button. These ribbon cables are not going to be usable because on this end here it's going to be hard to see on camera, but there's definitely some corrosion there that seeped through. Same with the IDE cable. So those are going to have to go. I've got extra ID cables. I have to see if I have any extra floppy cables. I'd like to get a Gotek in here anyway at some point, but for now, hopefully the floppy drive works. If it doesn't, I've got a spare somewhere. I don't have any Goteks on hand anyway. So that's a look inside of the Packard Bell. Oh, wait, let me show you, as I said before, the label in the back. Almost forgot. So it's an Axcel 130, but it's using the PB430A chassis system, what have you, which when I did a search on that, a few different variations came up. So I think the only way I'm going to find out the actual specs of this is if I get it working and power it on. So there's that. I'm going to stop the video here because it's going to be a super long one and I don't want to have an hour and a half long video of me going through everything. So I'm going to do a separate video where I just work on the board itself, get everything cleaned up as best as I'm capable of. Like I said, hopefully some of these traces aren't too bad. Actually, it looks like this ground trace here is also separating. Hopefully it's ground. But yeah, you can see how bad the corrosion is here with this trace just gone. But that can be fixed. I can bodge it. Looks like it's just connecting two vias anyway. So that shouldn't be too difficult. I can always tap it from another spot. But it's the rest of this here that I'm really worried about, because if this trace just peeled up like that and up here, then are the others going to as well? And again, the other concern I have is with these chips. I don't want to have to desolder this and clean underneath, because it's a lot of pins to have to resolder, and I'm not confident enough that I could do that. This chip, no problem. This one, no problem. This one here, no problem. But this one here, this one might be gone. GNS 9330. Man, a lot of damage on this one. What's that? I have to remember to insert that Phil Swift thing clip.
No, that's a lot of damage.
So yeah, so nothing too exciting yet. This video will be good for cataloging purposes so that I know all the damage. I took some closer photos of everything just to make sure I've got it all detailed and captured, especially the jumper settings, like I said. If you guys have any suggestions or tips or anything like that on possible cleanup options, otherwise I'm just going to use white distilled vinegar and a brush. Repairing the traces is not going to be fun. So YouTuber Necroware, he seems to be really good at that, so I'm going to rewatch some of his stuff and see if I can't pick up some pointers. But yeah, that's it for this one. If you guys have one of these, or if you know this exact model and can maybe jot down the specs for me, it'll be very much appreciated. Otherwise, guys, thanks all. I will catch you later.